So if you carefully observe this image, very carefully if you observe, okay, let us understand that suppose this is the point where the fault occurred. This is the point where fault occurred. Till that point, the voltage across the circuit breaker poles, both your circuit breaker contacts are in closed condition. So before fault, it is what is the current? Both the circuit breakers are closed, and what is the current flowing through them? The current flowing through them is the normal full load current. Normal current is flowing through at t equal to 0 minus. What is the situation? The voltage across circuit breaker is 0. The current through circuit breaker is equals to normal full load current. Full load current. Okay. Before fault occurred, voltage across circuit breaker is 0. Then what happens? Once the fault occurs at t equal to 0, then the situation will become what? The situation is that still they are in closed condition. But what is the change? Now the current flowing through them is not full load current. It is the fault current. So the current flowing through them is the at a t equal to 0 plus. Current through circuit breaker is how much? Fault current. Fault current whose magnitude is very high when compared to full load current. Again, what is the voltage across circuit breakers? 0. Voltage across circuit breaker is 0 by they are in closed conditions. So at t equal to relay time plus, that means once the relay time is over, then what happens? The fixed and moving contacts start separating. The fixed and moving contact start separating. I'm roughly drawing. So again, what is the current flowing through them? The current flowing through them is the fault current, and this fault current flows in the form of arc between the fixed and moving contacts. Okay, so here there is some positive, some voltage that is developed. The voltage across circuit breaker is the arc voltage, V arc, and current through circuit breaker is the same fault current in the form of arc current. So these are the three different scenarios: before fault, and immediately after fault, and once the relay time is over. This is how the circuit breaker poles will behave. Poles will behave. If you understand this, the other concepts will be easy. Okay, so now in this image, if you carefully observe, this rectangular portion which I am writing in blue, this voltage is the arc voltage across the circuit breaker poles. This is the arc voltage. This portion is the arc voltage. What is the arc voltage? The voltage across the circuit breaker poles. Poles means contacts. The voltage across the fixed and moving contact of the circuit breaker when arc is occurring between them. When arc is occurring between them. This is the arc voltage which I have drawn in the black. So the next is the dotted voltage which I am writing. This is the system voltage. That means voltage of our system. Voltage of the source. Okay. Now this red line which I am drawing is the fault current. The red line is the fault current. Okay. So whenever short circuit fault occurs, we know that our fault current is purely inductive. The fault current is purely inductive. So fault current lags the system voltage by approximately 90 degrees. That's why your fault current is lagging system voltage by approximately 90 degrees. Here you can observe when this value is at peak, when this value is at peak, where your fault current is, approximately at 0. Understand? Because fault current is purely inductive. Understand? Again, this transient voltage, when the fault current becomes 0 because of natural current 0, a high voltage transient appears across the circuit breaker poles. A high voltage transient appear across the circuit breaker poles that I have drawn in the black, because it is again the voltage across the circuit breaker poles. Okay. So here what happens, the first point which you have to remember is that the fault current lags the system voltage by 90 degrees. System voltage by 90 degrees. Sir, where this system voltage is present? This system voltage is a dotted line, which is, we are assuming that it is present. If suppose if it present, what would be its waveform? We are drawing it. Understand? So what is the restriking voltage? The restriking voltage here, it is shown by this black. This is the restriking voltage. Okay. The voltage across the circuit breaker poles when the fault current or when the arc current becomes 0. Okay. The transient voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles when the arc current or the fault current momentarily becomes 0 at natural current 0 is called restriking voltage. Understand? So when the current across the contacts of circuit breaker is 0, a high frequency transient voltage develops between the contacts of circuit breaker and is produced by sudden distribution of energy between the electric and magnetic field. This transient voltage is called restriking voltage. Understand? To explain why this restriking voltage happens, let me need an empty slide. If you take our system, this is the voltage. We are taking only one phase of the three-phase system. Suppose this is the phase to neutral voltage, and this is a generator, transformer, everything are there in series. Let the total inductance till the circuit breaker location, this is the fixed contact, this is the circuit breaker, this is the moving contact, and here the fault has occurred. Short circuit has occurred in one case. Let the total inductance from the location of source, that is generator, till the circuit breaker location is say L. The total inductance is L. Total shunt capacitance is C. Okay. This is the circuit breaker. This is the fixed contact, and this fellow is the moving contact. Here it is the short circuit. So we are only taking one pole of the circuit breaker. Like this, there will be three poles: R phase, Y phase, and B phase poles. Okay. So L is the total series inductance from source till circuit breaker location. L is the total series inductance from the source till circuit breaker location. C is the total shunt capacitance. From source till the circuit breaker location. Okay. So we know that whenever short circuit fault occurs, a huge amount of current that flows through the circuit breaker and it is flowing through the short circuit current. And this is how the path is clear. Okay. This is the fault current that is flowing. When suddenly this fault current becomes 0, What is the energy stored in the inductor? When the fault current is flowing through the inductor, the energy stored in the inductor is half into L into IF square. So this much of energy is stored in the inductors from the source to the circuit breaker location. Energy stored in the inductor or the magnetic field energy. But suddenly during natural current zero, the current through the circuit breaker is becoming what? Zero. So what happens to this entire energy? The energy stored in the inductor depends upon the instantaneous current flowing through the inductor. So the instantaneous current through the circuit breaker at a natural current zero is becoming zero. So this entire huge amount of inductive energy, it is converted into capacitive energy. So this complete energy is converted into half some C into V square energy. So then the voltage, this voltage across the circuit breaker, a high frequency transient voltage is developed across the capacitor because of the natural current zero. If you carefully observe, the capacitor one end is connected to ground, the moving contact is also connected to ground. That means both ends of the capacitor and circuit breaker are same. If again you carefully observe, the other end is connected of the capacitor is connected to the fixed contact. That means what you can observe from this figure, the capacitor and circuit breaker are in parallel. The capacitor and circuit breaker are in parallel. So the huge transient voltage that is developed at the instant where the fault current is becoming zero is appearing across the capacitor of the system as well as the circuit breaker poles. This high frequency transient voltage that is appearing across the circuit breaker poles, when the fault current through the circuit breaker poles or when the arc current is becoming zero, is called restriking voltage. It's called restriking voltage. Understand? So here you can observe till that point, till where the fault current is here. Sir, you can ask why here it is not shown. It is very difficult to show at every current zero. So we are only showing at this current zero. Understand? So till that point, the voltage across the arc is very small value, that is V arc, which is in phase. Sir, why this voltage V arc is in phase? We know that arc is purely resistive. So your arc voltage and arc current will be in phase. So fault current is nothing but I arc. Fault current is nothing but the arc current. So arc current and this is nothing but the arc voltage V arc. Since arc is purely resistive, your arc current and arc voltage are in phase, and arc voltage is very small when compared to the fault current. So this arc voltage which is present across the circuit breaker poles, once this fault current becomes zero, it shoots up to a very high transient value. This voltage across the circuit breaker pole shoots up to a very high transient value called restriking voltage. So after the current zero, if the rate of rise of restriking voltage, the rate at which this restriking voltage is rising between the circuit breaker contacts, if it is less than the rate of rise of dielectric strength of the medium between the contacts. So now after this current zero, there is a competition between the dielectric strength of the medium between the circuit breaker poles and the restriking voltage. So if the dielectric strength rises faster when compared to this transient recovery voltage, then arc will be completely quenched. The arc will not again come back. But whereas, however, if the rate of rise of restriking voltage is greater than the rate of rise of dielectric strength of the medium, then the arc will restrike. Understand? So that is the concept of restriking voltage. Why it comes? Because of the natural current zero, the huge inductive energy is converted into huge capacitive energy. So that's why the capacitor contacts and circuit breaker contacts are in parallel. The same high transient voltage appears across the circuit breaker poles. Okay. The next is arc voltage. The voltage across circuit breaker contacts during arcing period is called arc voltage. Understand? So V arc is equals to IF into R arc. V arc is in phase. V arc is in phase with the I arc. That is, what is the other name for IR? Fault current. So that we have seen in the grammatically. I mean, in figure also we have seen that the V arc and I arc are in phase. Okay. So arc voltage is the voltage across circuit breaker poles during arcing period. So if IF is the fault current and system voltage has a phase angle difference of 90 degrees. Because fault current is purely inductive, if you assume the angle between the fault current and system voltage means, what is the system voltage? This is the system voltage, the generator voltage. So the system voltage Vs and the fault current, because fault current is purely inductive, so if this is the system voltage, your fault current lags the system voltage by 90 degrees. That is the point. Okay. That is how we have even shown the diagrammatically. So system fault current and system voltage has a phase angle of 90, whereas fault current and arc voltage are in phase. Okay. So next definition is transient recovery voltage. The transient voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles at the instant of arc interruption. So the transient voltage that appears, the magnitude of the transient voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles during the arc interruption is called transient recovery voltage. Transient recovery voltage. The value of this transient recovery voltage is Vm into 1 minus cos of omega n into t, where omega n is equals to 1 by square root of LC. Okay. So this transient recovery voltage is given by Vm into 1 minus cos of omega n into t, where omega n equal to 1 by square root of LC. Already we have defined what is L and what is C. So this is the transient recovery voltage formula. Okay. So this voltage magnitude, this voltage magnitude, it is the transient recovery voltage. The instantaneous voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles when the arc is quenched or the fault current becomes zero is the TRV, transient recovery voltage. It is given by that formula. Okay. Now what is the frequency of these oscillations? The frequency of oscillations is given by Fn is equals to 1 by 2 pi into square root of LC. So this is the frequency of oscillation of this transient recovery voltage. It is a high frequency oscillation whose frequency is given by 1 by 2 pi into square root of LC, where L and C values we have defined here. L and C values we have already defined here. Understand? So this is the transient recovery voltage magnitude value. The frequency of oscillations is given by this value. Next, active recovery voltage. The instantaneous voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles after final arc interruption. After final arc interruption. Final arc interruption is called active recovery voltage. So active recovery voltage is that means once the final arc is completely quenched, so after this transients die out, again the voltage, system voltage will become normal value. This is how the system voltage will become. So the instantaneous value after the finally these transients are died out, after the arc is finally quenched, it is called active recovery voltage. Active recovery voltage. Okay. Now active recovery voltage, if nothing is there, you can see if active recovery voltage will be Vm. Active recovery voltage value will be equal to Vm when no effect is considered. But however, active recovery voltage depends upon the armature reaction of synchronous machine, type of fault, nature of grounding of synchronous machine, and power factor angle. Again, I am telling you, sorry, in this figure I have wrongly indicated. What is the active recovery voltage? So suppose this is the point where the arc is extinguished. If the arc does not restrike, suppose that is the final arc quenching point, the RMS value of system voltage, the instantaneous value of system voltage, that means from this point onwards, the system voltage will come into picture. So that means after these transients are died down, that system voltage will come, it will take this form and the system voltage will come back between the circuit breaker poles. So the point where the final arc extinguishing happens, this is the point where the final arc extinguishing happens. So the normal frequency voltage, the 50 Hertz voltage at the instant where the final arc is quenched. Okay. So active recovery is the instantaneous voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles at the instant of final arc interruption. Okay. Because if we consider the fault current is purely lagging, the current zero occurs when the current angle is 0, then the system voltage angle will be how much? 90 degrees. It is leading by 90 degrees. So active recovery voltage is equal to Vm when no effect is considered. When no effect is considered. Okay. The instantaneous, you can write 50 Hertz voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles at the instant of final arc interruption. At the instant of final arc interruption is called active recovery voltage. This value, suppose this is the arc is quenched here. What is the value of system voltage at this point? This is Vm. This voltage is Vm. So that is active recovery voltage. Okay. But however, there are some effects that will modulate this active recovery voltage. It depends upon the armature reaction of synchronous machine and nature of fault current. That means if the fault current is purely inductive, the angle between the system voltage and fault current is phi, that is equal to 90 degrees. In this case, active recovery voltage is Vm. If the fault current is purely resistive, just a hypothetical case, the angle between the system voltage and fault current is 0, then active recovery voltage is 0. So if the angle is somewhere in between them, then this value will become Vm into sine of that theta, sine phi. So if the angle between the system voltage and fault current is, if the angle between, suppose this is the system voltage and this is the fault current, this angle is, let us say it is theta. So then active recovery voltage by considering this effect will become Vm into sine phi. So we have written phi, no? So Vm sine phi. Okay. The other factors that affect are the nature of fault and the nature of grounding of the synchronous machine. Okay. And power factor of the angle between the fault current that we have considered. So active recovery voltage is given by the formula K1 K2 into Vm sine theta. Active recovery voltage by considering effect is given by K1 K2 multiplied by Vm into sine phi. Okay, we already know what is phi. We already know what is Vm. K1 is the factor accounting for the demagnetizing effect of armature reaction. K1 is the factor that is considering the demagnetizing effect of armature reaction. So because of fault, there is severe demagnetization. This demagnetization will reduce the VM voltage, will reduce the induced voltage in the alternator. So your VM value will be decreased well, if we consider the demagnetizing effect of armature reaction. So that is the VM. Whereas K2 is the first pole clearing factor. K2 is the first pole clearing factor. So what is this first pole clearing factor means? Just to remember, we assume that when circuit breaker opens, all three moving contacts and fixed contacts are equally responding, are equally changing. But what happens? It is a device that is man-made. So what happens? All three contacts will not have equal response. There may be one pole or one contact that may act quickly and one or the other contact that may act slowly. So depending up by considering that factor, first pole clearing factor. So one more factor that comes into each case. So K2 depends upon the nature of fault and how the synchronous machine is grounded. So K2 value is equals to 1 if the fault is grounded fault. Grounded fault means LG fault. Okay. And it is an AND gate. Remember, it is a AND gate. Both condition must be satisfied. And neutral of the alternator is grounded. If the fault is a grounded fault like LG and LLG and the neutral of the alternator is grounded, then the first pole clearing factor is 1. There is no effect of the first pole clearing factor. It is 1. In all other cases, K2 value will become 1.5. That is, either if the neutral of the alternator is not grounded, then K2 value is directly 1.5. Even if it is grounded, but the fault is not grounded, like in case of LL fault, then the first pole clearing factor will be 1.5. Okay, so this is the active recovery voltage, which depends upon the armature reaction, angle between the fault current and system voltage, and the first pole clearing factor. Okay. So if you take an example to understand this first pole clearing factor, so here a line-to-line fault occurred between the terminals of 11 kV generator, which is solidly grounded. The fault current lags by an angle 60 degrees. The system voltage is decreased by 5% due to armature reaction. Calculate active recovery voltage of the circuit breaker faults when the fault is cleared. So active recovery voltage is given by K1 into K2 into Vm into cos phi. That is the formula. So first is K1. This is due to demagnetizing effect of armature reaction. He said that the system voltage decreased by 5%. So 5% decrease means what is left out? 95%. So K1 will become 0.95. K1 0.95 because 5% reduction due to armature reaction. So it is 0.95. Now K2 is, what is the nature of fault? Line to line fault. So it does not involve ground. So directly we can write 1.5 because the fault does not involve ground. Even though system generator is grounded, system neutral is grounded, but the fault does not involve ground. So this is 1.5. Phi angle is how much? 60 degrees. So sin phi will become how much? Root 3 by 2. It is 0.866. Now what is Vm value? Vm is the phase to neutral voltage. Understand? So Vm is always phase to neutral voltage peak value. So line to line voltage is 11 kV. So peak value, how you are going to get? First line to line voltage divided by root 3 will get the RMS phase to neutral voltage. Again, to get the peak value, we have to multiply with the root 2. So Vm phase is equals to VL by root 3 into root 2. So if you substitute all these values, your active recovery voltage will become how much? 0.95 into 1.5 into 11 divided by root 3 into root 2 into root 3 by 2. So if you do this calculation, you're going to get some value. Someone tell what is this value? Kilovolt. So this is the instantaneous active recovery. In view of restriking voltage, short transmission line faults are more severe than the long transmission line faults. Why? Because the arcing is more severe in short transmission lines when compared to long transmission lines. So restriking voltage will be higher in short transmission lines when compared to the long transmission lines. I mean relative comparison. It is not absolute comparison. So the rate of rise of destriking voltage is given by d by dt of transient recovery voltage. If you differentiate this one, what you're going to get, which implies d by dt of what is the formula we wrote for here? Vm into 1 minus cos omega n into t. So this value will become how much? Omega n into Vm into sin omega n t. So this is the rate of rise of restriking voltage, whose value will be so many kV per second. So many kV per second. That is Vm into omega n sin of omega n into t is the rate of rise of restriking voltage. Understand? So what is the peak value of restriking voltage? Peak value of, first we will write what is the peak value of transient recovery voltage. The peak value of transient recovery voltage is, so here what is the highest value you can obtain from Vm into 1 minus cos omega n into t. The peak is when cos becomes cos omega n into t becomes pi, then this value is going to become 2 Vm. The peak value of transient recovery voltage is 2 Vm. That means how to correlate this one. So if you go back to again to this image, here what is this peak value? This peak transient recovery voltage, that is, this peak value is 2 Vm. The highest value of transient recovery voltage is 2 Vm. Understand? You cannot have the transient recovery voltage amplitude more than this 2 Vm. Okay. The second point is, what is the peak value of rate of Vm into omega n. Vm into omega n. Understand? So these are the two values which you can remember. The next topic is current chopping. What is current chopping? Current chopping in circuit breaker is defined as a phenomenon wherein which the current is forcibly interrupted. That means we are making the fault current forcibly zero before natural current zero. Before natural current zero. Suppose this is the current waveform. I'm drawing in red for your understanding purpose. Suppose this is the current waveform. It is in this fashion. So here we are forcibly making at this point current zero by some air blast or some other mechanism. So here the current is becoming zero suddenly before natural current zero. This is natural current zero. Natural current zero. But because by applying jet, we are forcibly making the current zero. once you forcibly make this current 0, you can see the voltage. So before that, the voltage was constant. This arc voltage I am mentioning in the green, this arc voltage was constant, and suddenly when you try to make 0, this voltage is shooting up. This voltage is shooting up. So if this voltage value is higher, again the arc will restrike. So again arc restrikes means this current, where it has become 0, again it is getting to this value. Okay. So again this current is there. Again this fellow made current 0 here. Again also we chopped here. So again transient voltage is appearing. Again a transient surge is appearing. But one thing you can observe, that as the number of chops increases, as the number of choppings increases, the intensity of this transient voltage across the circuit breakers is decreasing. The intensity of the voltage across the circuit breaker is decreasing as the number of chops. Chop means hacking. You're chopping the current wave. So the number, the voltage across the circuit breaker poles is decreasing. So after a number of chops, what will happen? The arc will not restrike. The arc will not restrike. So once the current is completely chopped, you can see your system voltage is becoming the recovery voltage. This is the system voltage. It is recovering. Understand? So current chopping in the circuit breaker is defined as a phenomenon in which the current is forcibly interrupted or made 0 before the natural current 0. Interrupted means forcibly made 0 before natural current 0. Current chopping is mainly observed in vacuum circuit breakers, because vacuum, the dielectric strength builds very fast. So definitely what happens, the current chopping will happen. The current is interrupted before natural 0. And in air blast circuit breakers, where the blast of air is there, it will make the current 0 before natural current 0. So there is no current chopping phenomenon in oil circuit breakers. That point there also we discussed. There is no current chopping phenomenon in the oil circuit breakers, but it is mainly observed in vacuum and air blast circuit breakers. So current chopping phenomenon is predominant, is mainly when the circuit breaker is used to switch off or switch on shunt reactor or unloaded transformer. So current chopping phenomenon mainly occurs when circuit breaker is interrupting or circuit breaker is operating for shunt reactors, inductive reactors, unloaded, no-loaded transformers, and shunt capacitors. So when you switch on or when you switch off the shunt reactors, no-loaded transformers, and shunt capacitors, current chopping phenomenon mainly occurs. Okay. So the voltage that is developed across the circuit breaker poles when current chopping happens, is called prospective voltage. The voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles when current chopping happens is called prospective voltage. Here these waveforms are nothing but he has told it is the prospective values of the voltages. Again, very easy to compute this prospective voltage. Again, what is the condition? Half L I square, I fault square, that is equals to half CV square. What is the voltage across circuit breaker? This is the voltage across circuit breaker. So prospective voltage will become half of cancel. So it becomes L by C square root into I. L by C I into this. So prospective voltage Vp is given by square root of L by C into I, where I is the instantaneous value of current that is chopped. Instantaneous value of current that is chopped. That is chopped. Again, L and C values we know. The total series inductance till the location of circuit breaker and the total shunt capacitance till location of circuit breaker. So prospective voltage is given by square root of L by C into I, where I is the instantaneous value of current that is being chopped. Understand? So if prospective voltage is high enough, then it may lead to restriking of arc. Definitely, why again the arc we are chopping repeatedly? This prospective voltage is very high, so arc is again restruck. So again we are chopping. Again the arc is restruck. Again we are chopping. As the number of chops increases, the prospective voltage is decreasing. At some low value of prospective voltage, the arc will not restrike. That is the idea of current chopping. So if prospective voltage is high enough, then it may lead to restriking of arc in the breaker, and thus current again starts to flow through the circuit. Okay. Again there will be chopping of the current, but this time the level of current chopped will be reduced, and therefore the voltage, prospective voltage also reduces. Thus the number of current choppings will take place till the prospective voltage becomes low enough to restrike the arc. So we keep on chopping that current. If it restrikes, we chop it again. Again, if it restrikes, we are chopping it again. If the number of chops increases, the value of prospective voltage decreases. So the value decreases to such a low value that arc will not restrike. Arc will not restrike. This is the philosophy of current chopping. Okay. The last concept in circuit breaker is resistance switching. Resistance switching. Okay, here what happens, to reduce the transient voltage that is developed across the circuit breaker poles during current chopping. During current chopping, we are connecting one resistor in parallel with the circuit breaker. We are connecting one resistance in parallel with the circuit breaker poles during the arcing period. Okay, so resistance switching in circuit breaker refers to a method adopted for dampening the over voltage transients due to current chopping. We know that whenever the current is made either natural zero or forced zero, there is a high frequency transient that is developed across the circuit breaker poles. To reduce this transients, to dampen these transients, what we are doing, we are simply connecting a resistor of suitable value across the poles of circuit breaker. This phenomenon is known as resistance switching. Resistance switching. Ideally, what happens when you connect a resistor, what will happen? This energy of half Li square, now it has two paths, that is, it will partially become half CV square and V square by R. So this resistor will dissipate the huge amount of energy supplied by this inductor. So what happens when some amount of energy is dissipated across the resistor, then this voltage V across the circuit breaker poles will decrease. The voltage V across the circuit breaker poles will decrease. You can observe here 3 points are in parallel. Your circuit breaker fixed and moving contact are in parallel. Your resistor is in parallel, and your capacitor, both all three are in parallel. Capacitor, resistor, circuit breaker poles. So here, whatever the transient voltage that is appearing between this point and this point, it is the energy is wasted in the form of resistor. So the transient voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles is reduced. That is the philosophy. Okay. So the value of R that is required for critical damping, that means to completely reduce the transients, is given by R is equals to 0.5 into square root of L by C. The resistance that is required for critical damping of the transient voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles during current chopping is given by R is equals to 0.5 into square root of L by C. Understand? So this is why we do the resistance switching while we are chopping the current. Advantages of resistance switching are it reduces the rate of rise of restriking voltage and peak value of restriking voltage. It reduces the rate of rise of restriking voltage and peak value of restriking voltage. Resistance switching helps to reduce the voltage transient surge during current chopping and capacitive current breakings. So it reduces the voltage transients during current chopping. It reduces the rate of rise of restriking voltage. It reduces the peak value of the restriking voltage. So normally the restriking voltage amplitudes are before current chopping, this will be like this. The transient, the restriking voltage waveform is before current chopping is like this. After current chopping, the waveform would be like this. You can see so much of dampening of restriking voltage is shown in green. So, whereas the oscillatory restriking voltage without resistance switching is shown in this red portion. Understand? So, this is about the circuit breakers. Okay. Now we shall take few questions. You just try to read the question. Someone read the question and try to answer. The interrupting time of circuit breaker is the period between the instant of interrupting time or the circuit breaker time, both are same. So it is the time interval between the instant of energization of trip circuit to the arc extension on opening operation. So circuit breaker time is the time interval between the instant of energization of trip circuit to the final arc extension. Understand?
A 3-phase 33 kV oil circuit breaker is rated 1200 amps, 2000 MVA, 3 seconds. The symmetrical breaking current is?
So symmetrical breaking current is nothing but the short circuit fault current. Is nothing but the short circuit fault current. So fault current is given by
2000
short circuit MVA divided by
root 3
into system voltage. System voltage. So this value will become short circuit MVA is 2000 MVA and root 3 is this one. Breaker voltage is 33 kV. So this value will become
35 kiloamps.
35 kiloampere is the current which the circuit breaker should break. Breaking current is nothing but the RMS current which the circuit breaker should break. Ideally, we calculate it as the RMS fault current. RMS. So usually, if they ask breaking current, nothing is given. You simply calculate the fault current. Your fault current is nothing but the breaking current of the circuit breaker. Making current of circuit breaker. If someone asks you,
2.55.
it's very simple. Just you have to multiply breaking current with 2.55. In this case, making current will become 89 kiloampere. Simply you calculate the breaking current, that is fault current, RMS value, and multiply with 2.55. You will get the making current. Okay. Next, the inductance and capacitance of a power system network up to the circuit breaker. So the total inductance up to circuit breaker location is how much? L value is given by 1 Henry and capacitance value is 0.01 microfarad. The value of shunt resistor across the circuit breaker required for critical damping of restriking voltage. What is the R value required for critical damping in resistance switching? That is 0.5 into square root of L by C. If you substitute these values in this formula, you are going to get the answer. So 0.5 into L value is how much? 1 Henry. 1 Henry means only divided by 0.01 into 10 power minus 6. So this value will become
5 kilo ohms or 5000.
Yeah, very good. 5 kilowatts. 5000 ohm. Understand. Next, which one of the following sequence of operations represents the rated operating duty cycle of circuit breaker? Operating cycle of the circuit breaker. Okay. So how the circuit breaker operating cycle should be? Okay. Let us assume you are working, you have become an engineer and you are working in a big power plant or a big industry. Okay. Usually you will be performing day shift. After day shift, you have gone to your quarters and sleeping happily. Suddenly, in any electrical installation, there will be 24/7 operations. Either one engineer is posted in night shift or some supervisor or some technician will be posted who is qualified enough. Suppose there is some tripping in the plant. That means one major circuit breaker has opened. So immediately for the first tripping, the operator will simply go, he will reset and he will close the circuit breaker. He will not check why it has happened, what is the reason, no. Because 80 to 90% of the faults are transient faults. What he will assume? He will go, if he presses the reset button, if the system is becoming normal, he will not do any other thing. He will immediately close the circuit breaker. Okay. So, suppose the fault is still existing, it is a persistent fault, again it will open. Again it will open. Understand? First it has tripped, it takes some time for that fellow to come, reset and again close the circuit breaker. Immediately it again trips because the fault is not cleared, fault is still there. This time he will wash his face because in the night time he will wash and he'll carefully observe all parameters. He will go to the equipment, the particular equipment for which the breaker is installed. He will inspect the equipment. If nothing is found out, if everything he seems is normal, again he will come back and closes that breaker. Okay, so he is closing for the second time. If the fault is not cleared still, again what will happen? It will trip again. It will open again. So this time he will not touch the breaker. Understand? So the first operation when the fault occurs is an opening operation that is mentioned by O. Opening. O means open. When the fault occurs, the circuit breaker will open. So for the first fault, nobody will do R&D. They'll simply reset and they'll turn it on. So the time period between the first opening and first closing, C means close. C means close. Okay. The time period is very small. It can be in few seconds. It can be in few seconds also. Okay. If the fault is not cleared, again it will open immediately. It will open without any time gap. So this time we will take more time to inspect the fault. So the time period now will be more, capital T. And again if we close it, if the fault is not cleared, again it will open. So after this 3 consecutive openings, you should not touch that breaker. You should not touch that breaker. Okay. So the philosophy is that between the first opening and first closing, even few seconds of gap is sufficient. Few seconds of gap is sufficient. But however, between the second opening and second closing, we have to give few minutes of gap. Few minutes of gap. Why? Because we know that when a fault occurs, a huge amount of mechanical and thermal stresses are developed, a huge amount of magnetic forces and heat is generated. We should give some time for the circuit breaker to recover. Okay, time is provided for dissipating heat. Okay, so that is the operating cycle. Open, few seconds gap, close, open, few minutes of gap, close. Again if it opens, you should not touch that breaker. you should completely service that breaker. You can see any permanent damage to the breaker happened, then only you have to put it into operation. Okay, so that is the operating cycle of the circuit breaker. I hope you have understood. Again, the same problem. Now he's asking making current, same values, you are going to get 89 kiloampere as answer. Same question. Now he's asking making current. So it will be 89 kiloampere. If the inductance and capacitance of power system are respectively 1 Henry and 0.01 microfarad, the instantaneous value of interrupted current is 10 ampere. The voltage across the breaker contacts will be. Okay. The instantaneous value of current interrupted means what he's doing current chopping. Otherwise, in other cases, we will be only interrupting 0 ampere only. Natural current 0 only will interrupt. So he's doing current chopping. The instantaneous value of the current he chopped is 10 ampere. So he's asking prospective voltage. Prospective voltage is given by instantaneous current chopped into square root of L by C. So this value will become how much?
100 kV, sir.
Square root of L by C into this one, this value will become 100 kilovolt. Okay, so this is the prospective voltage that is appearing across the circuit breaker poles when you chop 10 ampere current, 100 kV. Understand? Next, the rate of rise of restriking voltage depends upon. What is the rate of rise of restriking voltage? Vm into omega n. What is omega n? Omega n is equals to 1 by square root of L by C. Now tell me. RRRV.
Inductance and capacitance of the system.
So it depends upon the inductance and capacitance of the system. Rate of rise of restriking voltage depends upon the inductance and capacitance of the system. Because he did not mention the system voltage. Otherwise, we could have even told system voltage. Restriking voltage is measured in. Restriking voltage is measured in. Again, if you go back to the definition of restriking voltage, it is an instantaneous voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles when the arc becomes 0. So it is an instantaneous value. Restriking voltage is an instantaneous value. Okay. So again, here he has given this one. A 50 Hertz 17.32 kV generator is connected to power system. The system reactance and capacitance per phase are given. What is the maximum voltage across the contacts of the circuit breaker at the instant when the current passes through 0? So the voltage that appears across the circuit breaker poles is the transient recovery voltage, whose value is Vm into 1 minus cos of omega n into T. So the highest value of this transient recovery, peak value of TRV, peak value of restriking voltage or peak value of transient recovery voltage, both are same, that is 2 Vm. So we have to calculate this 2 Vm value. So what is the 2 Vm value? 2 into, here it is a line to line voltage. We have to convert into space to neutral voltage. So 17.32 into root 2 divided by root 3. This is your answer. Okay. Tell me what is the value? 2.
So 28.28 kV, sir.
28.28 kV is the answer. It is the highest value of the restriking voltage or transient recovery voltage. That means what is the maximum value of voltage across the contacts of circuit breaker at the instant when the current passes through 0? That is 2 times Vm. 2 times Vm is the peak value. You always remember Vm is the phase to neutral peak value of the system voltage. Understand? So gentlemen, with this circuit breakers are over.